Hi! So there was this funny story when I worked with these guys to achieve a common goal, only to be betrayed in the worst way possible. So at the time, this happened back in my school while I was in 7th grade. Also, it took me so long to draw that last scene, by the way. Sorry for the complaining, that happens a lot. Now, usually I will go to hang out with my friend at the dollar store in the morning, which happens to be across the street from my school. But for some incredibly stupid reason, being the dumb 15-year-old that I was, decided to step on campus before going to the dollar store this time. Which again is one of the dumbest things I could have done. But again, I was 15, so take this with a grain of salt. Also, side note, I spent an extremely long time working on this script as well, so yeah, that's fun. Sorry for the complaining again, guys. Force a habit, I guess. Anyway, there was a rule at the school that if you step anywhere on campus, you were officially the school's responsibility, so you couldn't leave the campus at any time until school was over or unless your parents came and got you. Also, the reason why I got stuck on campus is because my mom dropped me there instead of dropping me at the usual spot, which was the dollar store at the time. And you're probably wondering, well, why couldn't you just leave campus? Well, you should know the person that probably or probably not watching this video. But let's just assume that you are. If that's the case, then I greatly appreciate you watching this video. Also, did you know that flammable and inflammable was the same thing? I just found out yesterday. That's cool, isn't it? Sorry, got sidetracked again. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Wait, did I literally just fight myself sidetracking? How ironic is that? Anyways, well, I couldn't because there was teachers watching students on campus. And if any student got caught trying to leave campus, they would have gotten ISS. So as you see, I was stuck on campus with a teacher with the world's worst haircut watching me. And if I had tried to leave, I would have gotten 3 days of ISS. So in other words, I was between a rock and a hard place. So there I was, sitting on a curb in a freezing weather with 45 minutes until school opens. And at this point, I thought all hope was lost. Until this guy I used to know in school came up to me and asked if I wanted to sneak off campus. Now, to be honest, I didn't know who it was exactly. Well, this was a while back. But he also wanted to get off campus for his own personal reasons. So he offered me to sneak off campus with him and his group of friends. Now, keep in mind, I had gotten ISIS before, but that's a story for another time. So I really didn't want to get it for the second time. So together we came up with a foolproof plan in order to get off campus undetected. So in order to get off, there was actually 3 streets that led off the school's campus. So we ultimately decided to pick the street that had the most blind spots so the teachers wouldn't have seen us leaving campus. So at this point, we were ready to execute our plan. So while the teacher was talking to another student, we had dipped off campus and made it to the street before the teachers could turn around and see us. Then we proceeded to walk to the end of the street, which brought us to a local road which surprisingly had a lot of traffic by the way, that eventually led us to the dollar store. Now once there, we ended up parting ways. But little did I know, the guys that I just worked with would end up stabbing me in the back later on. Not physically, by the way, but metaphorically. Well, I guess you already knew that. Like, that would hurt, like, extremely, but that's not the point anyway. So I ended up making it to the dollar store where my friend was already waiting for me. And once I got there, we stayed there for about 30 minutes, and then we started making our way back to the school. Now, at first, I thought I was in the clear, so I was kind of relieved at first. But once we entered the school, me and my friend went to the cafeteria to get breakfast. And once we got in line, we waited to get our food. And everything was going just fine until I saw something that made my heart drop. Apparently, one of the guys that I snuck off campus with, I saw him from across the cafeteria talking to one of the teachers that was monitoring the campus. And sorry, I noticed I've been saying campus a bit much, so forgive me for that. And at that point, I started to panic, so I ended up telling my friend about it. And he gave me an idea. So at the time, I was wearing a red hoodie, and he told me that most likely they was using that description to identify who I was. So he told me to take it off so that way they wouldn't notice me. But instead of listening to my friend and taking his advice, I decided to keep my bright red hoodie on in hopes that they wouldn't notice me. But then, guys, the most unbelievable thing happened to me. They noticed me. Yeah, I should have saw that coming. Then proceeded to point at me from across the cafeteria. And I tried to hide myself within a crowd of people, but at that point, it was too late. The teacher already walked up to me, and before you know it, I'm sitting in ISS. So supposedly they put me in ISS for skipping school, which is not fun at all. And on top of that, they put me in the same room with the guys who ratted on me in the first place. So listen up today. If someone sees you leaving school campus and you're wearing a bright red hoodie, take it off. Just from my own personal experience.